On today's show, San Antonio Spurs, NBA draft rumors and goals. Who are the best prospects the Spurs could draft to place around Victor Wembanyama? Or could the Spurs be looking into trading one or both of their picks? It's all coming up on today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Spurs, Jeff Garcia, who you can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Spurs. Here's we are only a few days away from the fated NBA draft. A lot of rumors, a lot of speculation going into this draft. The Spurs, one of the teams at the top, with a lot of control about where, how this draft may play out. They own the 4th overall selection and the 8th overall selection by way of the Toronto Raptors. So let's start here, Jeff. What are some of the Spurs' kind of biggest needs ahead of this year's draft?
I think the obvious is point guard and then another quality big to post next to Wemby. Look, it's all about Wemby, who fits with Wemby. That's pretty much your umbrella. And then from there, you start whittling down. Okay, well, where does he need help? Well, he needs help at the point guard spot. He needs help at the big spot. A stretch big that will pair with him. I think that'd be good for him. But we'll start off with the point guard spot. Look, no knock on Trey Jones whatsoever. Good numbers. There's a part of me that I've been of the opinion, stick with him. I think he could be it, because if you look at the numbers from last year, the Wemby Jones pairing played out pretty good. A lot on the plus positive stuff, every statistical thing, but he can't knock down a shot to save his life. So that's where it comes into. Now, if you follow the Spurs history, you notice a thread. They're looking for a big guard. All right. So let's rewind the clock a bit. Who else was stunned when they announced Josh Primo with their pick? There was that, but he was like a 6'6" point guard. Okay. Didn't work out. We all know what happened. All right. Then you fast forward to last year with Sohan. They tried to do it again. Didn't work out. But even after that, they went with Malachi Branham for about a month. Didn't work out. We see what they want. They want a big guard out there on the court moving forward in their rebuild. You're hearing stuff like, they may target Topic, but you look at the latest mock drafts and, collectively, he seems to fall outside of number 8, where the Spurs are not picking him according to the mocks. So who do they go with? Well, if you read all the rumblings and the TVs out there from Mark Stein and Yahoo Sports, the Spurs reportedly want to move up. They want to get into that 1-2 range, and we know who they're targeting. It's no secret. And it's Zachary Ricochet. We know that. That. I had to talk to Zachary a few weeks ago, and I asked him flat out, you're talking to the Spurs. His first comment to me was, I know they're scouting me. He flat out just said it. And so we know who their guy is if they move up. So if they do pull that off, should be no shocker who they will announce. Adam Silver will announce going to San Antonio. But after that, the need then becomes another quality big. Zach Collins, very, hot, cold last year, a serviceable backup. But who's going to start alongside Wemby? You need to stretch big, and that's where they need. And I think the Spurs sitting at 4, it's pretty nice, because you look at our mock, look at the Locked On NBA mock. Zachary Ricochet fell to 4, and I grabbed him. So that should tell you just how widespread all the mocks are up and down. I think the Spurs are sitting pretty. If Zachary goes first, if he goes to you guys, oh no, we get Stephon Castle. Not that, Or if Stephon Castle goes ahead of you guys, and the way that Sar and Klingon go 1 or 2. Oh no, Zachary Ricochet falls. So I like where the Spurs are sitting at number 4. I think it's a nice spot. They're going to get a quality contributor at number 4. So, yeah. So circling back to the question, point guard and quality big next to Wemby.
Yeah, which is really funny because when you look at, those two kind of like glaring needs for the Spurs roster, right? Risacher doesn't actually check either of those boxes. Now he's got a little bit of, passing ability, out of that 3 spot, but he's a 3/4, a wing player essentially. So he doesn't check either of those boxes. I guess if you're the Spurs, right, there are, those rumors, the speculation about what the Hawks may do. Their growing interest in potentially Donovan Clingan with the number 1 overall selection. Seems like the Wizards are locking in on picking either Alex Sarr or Donovan Clingan, whoever's left out of those two once they're on the clock at 2. The Rockets are really big fans of Reed Shepherd, but they're also internally, they've really liked Donovan Clingan a lot. So if he falls to 3, then that might be their pick. There's a realistic possibility here, like you said, and like we did in the Locked On mock draft, where Risacher might just fall to 4 by himself. But if you're the Spurs, how do you balance that idea of, well, we're just going to wait and see what other teams do versus, hey, he's our top our top target. He's the guy that we scouted heavily. He's the guy we really want to pair with Wemby. Is Risacher an enticing enough prospect to trade potentially 4 and 8 to get up into that top 1 or 2 range to then get access to draft the guy that you want?
For me, no. You want to throw 8, and maybe some future draft picks. The Spurs have 2 second rounders. I wouldn't mind a little package like that. But, I think this circles back to what Wemby wants, Wemby's going to get. And, you look at Risacher, French, he understands the French mentality as far as the game. And I bring this guy's name up just to circle back to Risacher. So you look how the Spurs ended the season last year. Strong play. But, with the season all but done, they gave heavy minutes to Big Mamu, Sandro. And he played very, very well with double-figure scoring. So where am I going with this? Well, at the end of the season interviews, Wemby was asked about Mamu. And he said, Mamu, because he's an international guy. He understands what I like. I understands where I like my spots. He understands we communicate better because we have that background. Now, with Risacher, I think that's where it comes in. They played in the French circuit. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. You may know this, but I'm pretty sure a Spurs fan will remind me this is right or wrong. But they played maybe for a hot minute together. So they may have struck up a friendship, and, Wemby could be in the ears of the Brian Wright and the staff saying, hey, it's this kid I know. I like playing with him. Whatever you want, Wemby. Yes, Wemby. Yes, Wemby. We'll go get him. But
I find it interesting you're bringing up this point about the Spurs organization almost kind of bending over backwards to acquiesce to do kind of whatever Wemby wants. It's really rare for a player that young to have that level of pull within an organization. Obviously, we've never seen a prospect like Wemby. How is Wemby's presence kind of accelerating the Spurs rebuild timeline?
I personally think it's pushing it, although out in the public, they're not going to say it, but I believe, in my opinion, internally, they're hearing Wemby. You look at what Wemby said when he received his Rookie of the Year award. He flat out said it at the San Antonio press conference, I want to win ASAP. Flat out said it. And when he was asked last season about the Spurs approach and not skipping steps, you listen to what he said. He goes, yeah, I agree. We should have skipped steps. But he qualified that by saying, but who said we can't run up the steps? So there's that. So you kind of hear.
That's a good quote. I like that. Yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah. So you read between the lines, and he wants to win ASAP. So, now the point guard spot. Sure, could they'd be the Spurs. If Castle falls to number 4, so be it. You have other mocks projecting Dillingham going to Spurs 4. Fine. But
I know there's also been some reported interest about Devin Carter, too, as another name to be on the lookout for.
Correct. Devin Carter. Yeah. My sleeper pick for the Spurs is actually Connect. That's my sleeper pick. I can see Dalton, again, filling a need, for the Spurs, somebody explosive, create his own shot, get to the rim. But there's also the fact that the Spurs can address the point guard spot in free agency. There's rumblings about Chris Paul, could that work? I don't know if Chris Paul will want to come to a rebuilding team, but man, I would love for that type of dog mentality, a very young Spurs locker room. I mean, I think that would do wonders for this team to see what it takes to really,
and he had that same level of impact with that young OKC Thunder team, right? To went there, taught them how to win, dragged them to the playoffs. Not even dragged them to the playoffs. They were the 5th seed that year with SGA and that core that they had. So I mean, CP3 in San Antonio would be maybe a few years past when the Spurs originally wanted to get CP3, but could be a huge benefit for this team. So let's finish up with this then, Jeff. What would be a perfect draft day scenario for the Spurs that, it's clock strikes midnight, draft is done. What does a perfect draft day scenario look like for the Spurs?
If Castle falls to 4, yay, we grab him, good to go, move forward. You got your point guard addressed right there. And interesting, you look at some of the comps, he gets compared to Derek White, a lot, that type of ceiling. And I think that's exactly what the Spurs need, a defensive guard. The shooting can be tweaked in the NBA, but overall, I think he would fit well. Number 8, I wouldn't mind taking them seeing Dillingham in the Spurs uniform. I think they're going to go guard because you look at everybody who they've been working out, according to reports, it leans towards guards. Castle was in San Antonio. Dillingham was in San Antonio. The other names were all guard. Guy out of Houston, your guys, U of H. I believe his name is Sneed.
Jamal Shed.
Shed. Thank you so much. Thank you. He was in San Antonio for a workout. So you know what they want. They're targeting a point guard or a guard. So if they were to walk out with Castle and Dillingham, I wouldn't be upset. Now, you read the post of the Spurs fan base, it's a lot. It's heavy ricochet, but the chances of that are there, but, not quite too heavy. But Castle, for me personally, I wouldn't mind Castle and Connect. I think that'd be fine. I'd be good with that. But for me, though, I wish they would just play the cards they have this year, and I really go all out next year, 2025. That's where you get the 2 Atlanta picks popping up. That's where, they're going to have another high pick again. I don't expect this team to be in the play-in. If they reach 30 games, 31, they're going to get into the top 10. They'll be fine. I think that's where they should really, put their what out there and go for it. Move up the draft, be aggressive, make a deal, make a trade, flip some of the guys that are on the current roster. But as far as this draft, is concerned, if they walk away with Castle and Dillingham or Connect, I'd be fine with that.
What will the San Antonio Spurs ultimately do in this year's NBA draft? Will they stay put at 4 and 8 and make a couple of those selections? Will they trade up and maybe get their guy Zachary Risachet, or will he just fall to pick number 4? You're gonna have us covered for all of that and so much more over at Locked On Spurs. Jeff, thanks for stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Anytime.